Welcome to Transforming Us podcast. I'm Jess.
And I'm Tamara. We're trauma-informed relationship coaches and old friends here to discuss common patterns and what leads us to paths of security.
You know, people are feeling overwhelmed and disconnected in their painful relationships, which often leads to mental health crises.
We want to share some new ideas and practices to help you cultivate curiosity, compassion, and to redeem the patterns in your relationships, starting with yourself.
Join us on this journey of transforming us. Grab a cup of coffee and let's dive in. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm so excited to introduce my friend, Janine Westlund. I met her doing interviews for the Soul Care Institute, and later she became my spiritual companion. She's generously stepped in to share her Enneagram number and maybe a little bit about attachment with us as just a gift for our listeners to be able to maybe understand a little more about their patterns. So a little more about Janine. For more than 30 years, Janine worked in education focusing on social emotional growth. It was her time in Mozambique, Africa, that opened her eyes to something fundamental. The human heart is aching for love and care. That powerful awareness led Janine to a journey of spiritual transformation, and then she trained at the Soul Care Institute and became a certified spiritual director through Denver Seminary. This equipped her to guide others through their own struggles. As a soul care provider, Janine's greatest hope is for you to know you are seen, you are chosen, and you are beloved. She celebrates each person's unique journey. Janine appreciates the depth and individualization each person brings to this world. She is passionate about life and experiencing God through different lenses. She also loves sipping her morning cup of joe and noticing every shade of orange in every single thing, and making pieces of art from scraps or paint or cutouts or whatever she can find to just create a symbol of beauty that she can hold in her hands. So thank you, Janine. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks. It's great to be here. I look forward to this time together.
Yes, I've been looking forward to this for about a month. So is there anything else you want to share about your life in Colorado or something you are looking forward to?
Yeah, life in Colorado is so beautiful. I grew up in Minnesota, so I moved here to still have the 4 seasons, but all milder. It's fantastic. So we have sun and rain and snow, which I just love so much. And this season, it comes, yeah. As I was thinking about this earlier this morning, I was like, I love Advent here because we get to get up in the 60s and 70s with sun, and we get to the 30s and cold with snow. And I love that both and it like leads into everything about me is the both and. So even in the weather, it's a beautiful thing.
It's awesome. Well, it is so good to meet you, Janine. I'm glad that you're here. And Jess has shared that you are seasoned with the Enneagram and even use some of it in your own work. And we're just looking forward to having people on all levels of Enneagram knowledge on our podcast, and just mainly observers of their own lives, and just to have authentic conversations with each other about what it might look like for them and their unique patterns. And today we're obviously, talking about the 4. So we're going to be just kind of taking a deep dive and looking at the inner rich life of the 4. So my first question for you would be, how long have you known about the Enneagram, and what actually caused you to want to understand more about your patterns?
I have known about the Enneagram for about 15 years. I was involved in another women's ministry, and a friend of mine there, we were just meeting, we connected, and she started talking about this Enneagram, and she handed me the little book, The Essentials, and she's like, just read this. Well, as a behavior specialist, all those years of working with families and kids and teachers and admin, I was like, oh, this is something really specific. This gets you about looking at yourself deeply and gives language to what you maybe don't want to say, or what you really, finally I can know something about this. So started digging into it, and at the Soul Care Institute got a week-long training in it and learned that, I am not who I thought I was.
Mm-hmm.
So in that week, I learned so much and realized that I wasn't who I thought I was. I was raised to be an 8.
Okay.
I am an extrovert. I am confident. I'm a leader. I'm a woman. And it just all went to You got to be an 8 then. You got to live in your gut. You got to be strong. You're a challenger. You're confident. And as I was in the training and really listening to the Calhouns, actually, I heard the core emotion and the vice or the sin of the 8. And I was like, that's not what I struggle with. That's not
Hmm.
who I am. Less for power. I'll take power if no one's going to lead. I will step in, but I don't sit in anger. I'm like, what? Well, then they kept going, and all of a sudden they start talking about the 4, and they brought up the sin of the 4 is envy, and my whole core exhaled.
Hmm.
I was like, yes, that's where I struggle. That's where I notice things. That's where I'm longing. And then, as they said, the base emotion is shame. Sadly and truthfully, I went, yeah, I have fear and anger that's on top. But man, when I get through it all, it's about shame. And I live in this heart. I feel deeply. So it gave this great breath and definition that helped me answer some of the things I do with behavior all my career, with all these people around behavior. Now I could finally look at my own really specifically.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Mm.
That's really interesting that you learned about the Enneagram. And I think a lot of people have this experience. And you landed on a number. You're like, yes, I'm an 8. And all these things check. Outward behavior, probably more like, this is what I look like. And then, as you get deeper into understanding the system and the core fear, the core motivation, and core emotions, you were like, wow, actually, I maybe was kind of raised to be an 8, to be this strong woman, but what's sitting beneath everything is these 4 patterns. And so was it a handful of years that you went thinking you were an 8 before you kind of discovered maybe you were mistyped?
Yeah, probably close to 10.
Wow.
Maybe 8 for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't do anything about it. I just accepted it. I didn't know
Yeah.
as much about it. I was leaning in that these things were real, like you said, the external. But something wasn't landing right because people would say, well, yeah, you're an 8, right? And I'm like, that's what I've been told.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I start doing other things and sharing, talking more, being so individual about everything, not caring about everyone's fair, everyone gets the same thing, people are like, And then I question, like, yeah, I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
just at, yeah.
Very unique.
Mhm. And so are you.
Yes, yes. I mean, I can feel that today is about you, but as listeners know, I'm a 4 too. So that experience of exhaling when you're like, yes, like because 4s really need to feel known and understood. Even in your bio, that's what you want for others. And so when you hear your Enneagram type, especially for 4s, the experience is like, oh, yes, that's me. So thank you for sharing about that. It's good to know people's experience with the Enneagram and what their journey's been like. And
Yeah.
so I'd also like to ask, in your work with children and families and education, did you have experiences with attachment theory? And do you have any understanding of your own attachment leanings? Has that been part of your journey?
Yes, it has deeply been a part of my journey because I've worked with so many kids with behavior issues that adults think they just need to change or learn something else or they know better. And really getting into kids' behavior is more about adults' problems, honestly. And so definitely there's a natural look of like, wait, what is the attachment? What are kids getting at home? What have they had for the first 2 to 5 years? And adults really realizing like what their attachment style is as well. We put things on each other because that's what we have or that's what we know. And actually, it's not helpful, but it's safe. So I did a lot of work I worked a lot with foster families, kids that were living in more marginalized communities, right? And living in poverty and just recognizing, like, I don't know if we get as much support. No, I know we don't get as much support. We don't get as much care. We just have the external view. So I did a lot around helping families realize what their attachment styles are, that there's even a word about attachment, how needs aren't getting met, even though we're crying out for them, and then what we do. And it helped me, not till I was 40, but realize like, wow, my insecure attachment with my mom. And
Mm.
adding that with finding out I'm such an individualist and I feel so deeply. And side note, I think she's a 4 at 87.
Wow.
So there's definitely a rub. And
Yeah.
also seeing the attachment that she couldn't do what I needed her to do. And it's not necessarily intentional, but really leaning into what that attachment was with me and my mom, and then how I could lead others to notice what is theirs and what isn't theirs, and have some freedom actually in that.
Yeah. Oh, so many amazing gifts and opportunities in that work to be able to hold both together. And as you explore your own story and your, that grace that you have for your mother, knowing, hey, she's in process too. She had her own, unmet needs and her own insecurities. And then finding out she's a 4, how you each uniquely probably trigger each other at times.
I just want to add something there if I could. I just realized probably a year and a half ago that I think she's a 4. It's not anything I can talk with her about because of her personality, her stuff. Yet what I realized is I can go into my healthy 4 and see her individually and realize she's really about the love languages, 5 love languages. So her love language is words, which because they're words, they're not mine. Right. So I'm like, don't give me words. And I realized because I think she is a 4, I can give her words in a new way because that's going to love her and show her that she's seen and known despite how much I don't like it.
Mm.
And I think as
That's
adults, we get to do that with the others around us as well. Like, okay, this isn't about me. This really is about the sake of others. So I can be healthy because it's really for you.
Yeah.
Or
That's
try
a great
to
way
be
of looking at it. Yeah. Just the selfless of seeing the other person, making sure they feel seen and known.
awesome. So as we kind of get into talking about you as a 4, thinking about kind of the core lie that a lot of 4s believe, myself included, is that idea of I'm deficient or there's something missing, or this, I've also heard it talked about like there's this fatal flaw that you might believe that there's something wrong with you. So how does that play out for you?
Oh, we don't have enough time for all of it, let's just say. But I really realized, and even just this weekend, without not even thinking about it, it was like, oh my gosh, I got hit again. I am a lot. My personality is big. I'm extroverted. I love to make people laugh. And I sometimes am like, what did I just say? It was too much. It was too loud. They didn't understand my joke. Oh no. Oh no, did I just embarrass myself? I'm almost 60. And just this weekend, and it hit all of the things of who I am. And I don't know if I get to I'm not enough as much as I'm too much. And do people really know my heart when I'm challenging them with what I say? And it's, yeah, I can't believe it's still something that really is a regular thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so interesting because knowing attachment styles and things like that, it's like some of those core beliefs eh, go so far back to these little like 2, 3, 4-year olds that got maybe some messages that like, oh, you're too much, or you know or getting attention for being special and unique would be a common experience for 4s. Do you ever feel like you're trying to avoid being ordinary?
Oh, on the hour. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's funky, and I laugh at myself, me and God together, like, that's funny. No, I'm not doing that. Like, even how I drink a cup, if others are drinking it one way, I'll turn it. No, but I don't want attention for it. I don't point it out to anyone else. I just know in myself that I turned my cup. Like, it's so not in the ordinary, and I love it. I get really excited and geeked out about it for sure, because it makes me have agency and know that this is what I need. I don't need you to do that for me. If you do, that's lovely and amazing and wow. And I can just turn the cup and drink it the way I want. So
I love
yes.
that so much.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
The
Yeah.
uniqueness. Yeah. I'm just curious about also the core fear of the type 4 pattern. Cause, in the Enneagram, we talk about just the emotional states of, like fear and shame and anger. And fours are in the heart triad. So I'm just curious, how do you see shame or just messages of worth, pop up in your life as a
Mm.
four?
Yeah. I've done a lot of work, personal work, and it still is very fresh on a regular basis because it's just so who I am. And
Mm-hmm.
what I'm learning a lot about is that people don't necessarily do something intentional. Um, and on the flip side too, I get to speak up about that. And I say that because I'm realizing that if I send someone a message, like a really good friend a message, and they respond back not responding to that message, I get hurt. And I'm like, that's not even what I said. It just happened this morning. I'm like, that's not wait, what happened? So then I tried to, I'm confused. What do you mean? And it wasn't like a bad thing. It's about waking up or something, right?
Yeah.
And after I processed that and was myself, I just totally went to like, was that okay? Did I hurt her?
Yeah.
So it goes to this place of, wait, can I do that for myself? Can I speak up? Can I have what I need? Or is that just selfish? And then I sometimes tend to go to that false self too, of like, I got to serve you. It's for you. And then, I did it. I did it for you. And then pride shows up and I'm like, oh, geez, this
Right.
is just crapshoot. Like my shame is like doing all the things for me that
Yeah.
aren't true, that aren't what I want to lean into. So it's on the regular. It's something I can claim and name and feel really good with God. The witness of God in my life helps me meet that shame that He's not shaming me. It's
Yeah.
not anything spiritual. It is true. That's my core. And what am I going to do with it?
Yeah.
Mm.
I just think it's awesome when we can, like what you're describing, like you're able to like recognize those things in yourself now. And I just
Mm-hmm.
think that that's what gives you, to be able to, like you said, you just helpfully process because, us
Mm-hmm.
knowing this knowledge doesn't mean that it all goes away. It's just now we have the tools to know how to regulate ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and I want to just
Yeah.
add to that there's this in America, especially, we live this life of either or. And
Hmm.
that's really not true. I don't care what type you resonate with. We got to find this middle ground. We get invited regularly to find this middle ground. So how can we do that so that we can be okay with whatever
Hmm.
shows up?
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, like you said before, that both and it is the gray space is where most of life really is, but I think our culture and certain personalities,
Mm-hmm.
there's a desire to put things in these black and white boxes, and just life isn't that way. And
Right.
we're
Right? That goes right to attachment. Like the avoidant, this is what I didn't get, so I got to do this, right? Or it's
Mhm.
so real in our emotional state anyways, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that black and white thinking is very left
Uh-huh.
brained, putting
Uh-huh.
things in those categories, and versus
Uh-huh.
the emotional experience is more right brained. And, here we're
Mhm.
talking developmental stuff. And
Mhm.
yeah, it really plays into your Enneagram number. And so, like, as a four, did you kind of share already if you lean more on the anxious or more avoidant or maybe more fearful? Like, was that
Um,
something?
I think more anxious. I
Okay.
think when I really break it down, I think it ends up going there. Which
Hmm.
I don't like that word. I don't feel like I've ever been this anxious person, but that's the other thing, like you can't just go by, well, it's this,
Yeah.
right? Like having the anxious side really helps me know like that's what's going on internally. And it doesn't
Hmm.
make me a bad person or that I have an anxiety disorder, which isn't bad
Right.
either. It's just like,
No.
whoa,
Yeah.
what's the middle? So yeah.
Yeah. And I found it really helpful because I think I lean more anxious, but I also have the avoidant
Mm.
too, which kind of made me feel like I landed in the fearful category because it's like it's both. But I've found it helpful that when people really get hung up on that word anxious for an attachment style,
Mm.
we look at the patterns and it's like, do you feel
Mhm.
mobilized to action? Do you want
Mhm.
to connect? versus withdrawal into independence more, what are the impulses as far as relationally and getting your needs met? And so when you start to unpack that, it's like maybe the way you've categorized anxiety as this thing, because like you said,
Yes.
there's anxiety disorders. That's not the same thing as an anxious attachment style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
definition. Yeah.
Okay. So when you feel shame, I did want to ask this question is, as far as that being the core emotion, do you have a certain place? We talk about somatic awareness a lot. Do you have a certain place you feel it in your body?
It really goes into my gut, and it's like this gut punch. When I first was digging into it about 5 years ago, I thought it was really in my heart and it was beating faster, but it's really not. It's down in this gut place. And I feel like I kind of want to throw up a little bit, and I kind of want to just physically step back because I don't know what's going to happen in that. It's pretty strong, but very local. Yeah. It's in that gut, in my gut.
It's so interesting because it's so, like, for me, it's all my heart. It's like this burning. But everybody's so unique. And, I know our instincts are different. I would be more self-preserving and you are
1-to-1. Yeah. The
yeah.
sexual side. Yeah.
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 And so that also, some of the things you've described, feeling like you're too much, like I feel like I'm not enough as a
Right.
self-preserving for. And so, I know with that instinct of the 1-to-1, there's a kind of intensity that can come out with just, conversation and relationships and like quick to speak sort of those are the things that I would imagine lean into that feeling like, oh no, did I say too much? Like, whereas I tend to hold my words back and be a lot more controlled in self-preserving.
I find, because of my work as a spiritual director, I've slowed down so I don't speak as quickly. In my head, what I'm thinking about is how to get you to go deeper. How to get, how can I listen to what you just said and get it to go to another layer and to get deeper in our conversation and more close, right? More personal, more, not like intimate, but like, I don't want to hear good. How was your day? Good. What does that mean? What's good mean? Well, I said good. I know you said good. What's good for you today? I always want to go a little bit underneath because I want you to be seen and heard and known, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a difference of the talking part and the 1-to-1.
Yeah.
And I experience that of you, that you are slow and steady. I just know in our conversations and then from other 1-to-1 fours that I've, known that's the default, I guess. But when we balance our instincts, self-preserving, social, and 1-to-1, like we take what we need when we need it, and it's sort of not too much of one thing, or one doesn't drive the show.
Yeah, that's good.
What do you think about your wings? Do you have a certain wing that you think is dominant, or are you pretty balanced?
When I was told that we really get both wings because it's like flying a plane, you can't fly one with the other, I started to notice. And I believe that my 3 wing is the leadership that was seen as an 8 is really coming out as a 3. So it stays in the heart. It leads out of wanting to get things done and achieving, so that adds support, where 4 might my 4 would sit back. The 3 kind of can help me keep going to lead. And then the 5, my dad told me this when I was 21. He said, you're going to have one problem in life. I'm like, oh, only one. Okay. And I said, what? And he said, you're going to think too fast. You're going to think faster than the people in the room. And it's true. And I have found that is that 5 piece. It's language, it's knowledge, it's truth. And so that 5 intellect comes in to match my, I want to say my speed, but to match the heart part. So I definitely lean on both pretty equally, I feel like.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah. So, when you were talking about attachment styles and you said you felt like you were leaning anxious, you know, as far as conflicts and triggers and everything, like when you feel anxious or just disconnected, or, this relationship that you have is close and it's starting to feel threatened, what would you say your first, automatic impulse would be? Would it pulling away to like self protect, or are you pushing to try to be more assertive? Or
Mm.
are you, waiting to kind of see, how you could be available and just move towards them? Or how do you feel like you normally respond?
It's one of two. And so it depends really who it is, like how well I know people. So one, I'll
Mhm.
push forward to do more, to get understood, to get heard. And if it's others that I don't maybe know as well or don't feel like they're going to listen, it's not going to matter, then I retreat.
Okay.
I really am just like,
Mm.
I don't need this battle. I'm not going to fight. That's not where they're at. And I'm
Yeah.
okay. I'm not going to get in it, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I
Mm.
feel like that's a level of discernment too
Mm,
that you probably have
mm,
come to in time, because you realize it's like what's worth, the battle and the connection,
Mm.
preserving it or not. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and I would
Yeah.
be curious too if which person it is. Is it a very close relationship that means a
Mhm,
lot to you? Do you have more of a impulse to push in those relationships versus um, withdrawal, or is there a sequence? Like, do you push
mm,
and then withdrawal when it's like,
mm,
oh, this isn't working? I'm gonna disconnect now to kind of like
mhm.
lick my wounds, so to
Yeah,
speak.
yeah.
Hmm.
I think if I pause for a second and really reflect, I want to know new people and have other new people be welcome. So I
Mm.
think I push and ask some new questions if I'm feeling a little resistance to see where they might want to go. It goes to my behavior management stuff. Like there's something underneath, maybe it's not about me. Maybe they need me or need someone to listen to them. So I think if I don't know them, that's where I go. If I know them, yeah, it's like categories, right? If I know them, kind of in the middle, they're not my besties, but I know them and I know their beliefs and our beliefs might be different, I will not push because I am not there to change their mind.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it really is categories. And if it's someone really close, I will ask, like, do you want to go there? Do you want to do this? And see if we're all in.
Hmm.
Mm. And imagine that's something you've learned to do.
Mm-hmm.
That asking for consent, like, can I go here with you?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Because I don't
And
want to be
that's
hurt and I don't want to hurt them. Right.
Hmm.
I want to
Mhm.
make sure that my strength or my wisdom or my question or maybe judgment is really safe to say. I want to be safe because that's
Hmm.
not what I grew up with.
Mm. Yes, and I mean, I can say 100% as my spiritual director,
Mm,
which I would love for you to define what that is for some people who maybe have never heard that, but you are a safe person.
mm,
You create a structure and a framework to feel like I can rest on your questions, on you're helping me to listen to God.
Thanks, Jess. It's a
But
privilege to
yeah, if
sit
you
with
would
you.
share
Sure.
what a spiritual director is, real quick,
Yeah,
you
real
know.
quick. It's really not what you probably think it is, but spiritual director, the direct word director people get a little hung up. So it's really a lot of times we use spiritual companion, which Jess used at the beginning of the convo. And my whole role is to sit with you and listen to you about your relationship to God to help you recognize what's already going on inside of you. We don't advise or fix or problem solve. There's great therapy for that. And I highly recommend everybody seeing a therapist. This is to go where I get to be a witness and honor what you're saying, what you're questioning, what you're processing without answers, because you really do have answers inside of you. And that I can be that holy listener offering God's ears, maybe, where in a human form, where maybe you have issues with God or problem with God or hurt from God, so you can process and hopefully grow closer in your relationship to the divine.
Mm, thank you for defining that for
Mhm.
us. So in that role as a spiritual director, how you're holding space for somebody to feel safe and feel connected, but also not too like not to overwhelm
Mm.
with too much connection, because I think people have those different needs. Um, as a 4, you probably feel things deeply as those will share things with you about what's going on in their life. They're discerning. How do you personally stay detached enough but still connected?
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a great question. We talk about it in training. It's a very big deal. And because I was a behavior specialist before, my whole job was to fix your behavior, right? Help change it. And so this is not that. So part of it is to be calm and honestly listening and not thinking I'm going to have an answer before you even finish what you say. And the other part, when I was thinking about this and preparing for this morning, we have a lot of images of God that aren't real or good. And I really find that if we can sit together with the witness of God and notice that he's not doing things to us, for us, or at us, he's really doing them with us. It can help me just hold that space for you to feel the witness, that there's no shaming, there's no shouldas. We're not going to should on ourselves, right? God's not doing that to us. And that we can hold space of that God is feeling with us, right? To separate shame and separate fear, that it's God doing it. And it helps me know that I'm sitting with God. Therefore, I can attach as necessary with God,
Mm,
not as Janine per se. Does that make
mm,
sense?
it does. Yeah, I love that it's when you remember witness of God, you have the ability to do both, connect and be detached, so that you don't get too overwhelmed by maybe a tough situation. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you're being made secure by God,
Mm-hmm. With God.
with God.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a different language. Jess, you and I we've
Yeah.
talked about this. It's a different idea that if I'm really disappointed in someone, which as a 4, I get hurt, right? I get really disappointed. Well, God is disappointed with me. I don't have to think like, God, what do you feel? Like, what do you do?
Mm,
I do get to say, how are we going to do this together? How are we going to feel and heal and not go to shame with our disappointment? God, what are we doing together? And there's things he'll be like, hey, you know what to do. I got you.
yeah.
Or I'll be like, I'm lost. What would you do? And he's like, here's a new way.
Yeah.
So it brings this together piece that's not like this almighty, powerful, big thing that I don't know. It's a very
Right.
personal, real, powerful, big thing.
It's beautiful.
It's awesome. Well, part of what we do at Transforming Us is just try to help awareness of patterns. And we talk a lot about that, just because of the direct impact that it has on us and just the relationship we have with God, with ourselves and others. And so I'm just curious, was there a time that you noticed the cost of feeling stuck in your false self patterns? And then what did you do to learn to practice that has helped you shift as a 4?
Mm-hmm. Definitely 2 major times in my life that I'm not going to go all into the story because that's not what matters. What matters is I realized it was that. I was
Mm-hmm.
very much stuck and wanting to hide and wanting to go to my false self too,
Mm-hmm.
which is just this server, take care of you, not pay attention to my needs or what's going on with me, and just lifted my pride. And there's 2 things I really did. I'm always in 2s, by the way. I think I probably had lots of 2s today. 2 things I really did. I told someone. I had accountability. I had a spiritual director. I've had a spiritual director for years. For 18 years, I believe I've been meeting with a spiritual director. So I had someone to help me listen and process the spiritual pieces of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other piece is that I've really learned through that and therapy, I've really learned that there's things I can do to change where I'm stuck. So a simple example, but I think is really powerful, is my friend a year and a half ago gave me the First Nations version of the Bible. And that's an indigenous version. It's very different. It's the New Testament. I started reading it and realized, I don't even know what book I'm in. It was so fresh and new that it gave
Yeah.
me new language to look at what I'm sitting in, to
Yeah.
look at the stuckness,
Yeah.
specifically go to Luke 6 and read the Lord's Prayer. And instead of talking about forgiveness, it talks about release. And
Mm,
just
Awesome.
changing that language and that definition definitely has helped me helped me then, which I didn't realize, but now is helping me regularly own, face,
Yeah.
acknowledge,
Mm,
and release.
It's awesome.
yeah.
Right.
So you're describing some of the stuckness and certain things you did, some practices, some ways in which you found release. And so, what would be a specific that you would tie maybe to your Enneagram for, like the like a false self pattern that you have learned to die to, or maybe you don't want to use that language, dying to it, as much as laying it down or releasing it.
I mean, without even thinking, I can say it's by practicing the welcoming prayer. And if you're not familiar with it, it's Thomas Keating, and you can look it up. It is welcome, Jesus, welcome. I let go of my desire for power and control, safety and security, to change a person, a situation, or myself. And just saying that has helped me when I want to go to myself. Because as soon as I say, welcome, Jesus, welcome, I feel Jesus so present that Janine has to stop. It is powerful and visceral. And then I can be like, what do I need to let go of my desire of? Which fits that Enneagram 4 envy, the heart piece, the insecurity, the not being enough. And I almost always have to let go of power and control. And I can just stop right there and he will take it and I can own it so that I'm not doing the comparing. I'm not doing the self-pity. I'm not going to, I am too much.
Okay, great. So
Does that answer?
it does. I mean,
I love that.
just to sum up, like the false self sounds like it's the desire for power and control, affection and esteem. That
And
those
security.
safety and
And
security
safety
too.
and security, right? And to change. I want to
Yeah.
change you. That's why I want to get into it, right? Because I want you to be different. Well, that's not my job, right? So I let go of my desire to change you or the situation, right? Which fits desires and longings and envy, right?
Yes.
And I feel like that's just also just when people can finally get to that, which is such a process, and we have to continue to keep coming to that over and over, but it's so freeing, I feel like when you can just truly show up, it's like you are actually able to truly like be there and support and love someone just where they are without this agenda of having to feel like you have to fix,
Yes.
it's like it's like an exhale, like that's God's, like that's what God's work, you know what I mean? He can use us, but like we're not a savior,
And that's where the withness comes in. Because with me and God together, we can come in and say, hey, you're okay.
Yeah.
I can release that, right?
Yeah.
Because we're doing this together.
Yeah. That's awesome. But speaking of relationship with God, with the Enneagram, like the false self patterns, it represents your strategies for survival apart from God. How does this color the way that you view God? As far as, like, for example, like, does your pattern make it hard to accept grace, or do you find it difficult to just like trust God that He's going to like show up and provide? What is the truth that would you say that the 4 needs to hear?
From my journey and from the work that I've done, I feel what we need to hear is that we'll never get it from humans, and humans can't give us what we long for. So God with us helps us see humans we can receive from, help us notice what's true and real, and help us step back to say, yeah, I don't want that. I don't need that like I think I do, because I'm with God's eyes and I can trust God. I really don't question God's love for me. It's in my core now. It's in my core that I'm the beloved. So when things happen, I get to hold that, pause there, and think like, what do I need to look at with my relationship with the people and with humanness? We want to blame Satan and we want to get into spiritual warfare and we want to say, you are bad. And it's like, yeah, maybe it's just that we're human.
Yeah.
And humanness is hard. So God, I trust God to walk with me to look at you.
Awesome.
Man, you have so much wisdom. I love listening to you unpack these things. It's amazing. So like we've talked about the false self and that piece of it, but I think that always leaving with this glimmer of hope. So like the true self, in looking at gifts too. I mean, I love to talk about the gifts of each number. Your inherent strength as a 4 is kind of this authentic, I think if you can really be in your true self, there's this, I'm equal with others and I can be content and grateful. Those types of things we've talked some about using Tyler Zach's 40-day devotionals for each Enneagram number. And he was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. And, you've shared with me some of those ways you can kind of live into your true self. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so freeing to know that as an individualist, if I'm settled and calm and in my true self, I can look at you and see like, oh, what is there to learn? What is there to receive? What is there to walk along with versus like, I want to be just like you and I got to follow you. And that true self, I get to, as an individualist, get to look at you. You are human and what do you need? Not because I can give it to you, but because you need something and what's happening and how do I journey with you? Like what it is kind of goes to Tamara, that discerning piece versus that judgment piece.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm calm within myself and know that I am leaning into that beloved, man, I don't need to speak. I don't need to do it. I get to look at you for you and love you.
Yeah.
It's not easy. I'm not saying like it's all so easy, but it's like, wow, when I'm grounded, I get to go to that place to hold you. And it's a gift and a privilege versus a burden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really what makes people feel seen and like truly like, we talked about before is feeling truly seen and known and understood. Like that's a gift to somebody to feel like I don't have to always come in and clean it up for you and try to fix it and give you all the answers. Like I can actually be with you and hold like in this space with you and still see you and love you and not judge you.
Yeah.
No shame,
And
that's
what
beautiful.
is beautiful as a 4, like if we are going to go the whole yards, is that I don't want you to be like me.
Yeah.
Right. The truth is I don't want that. I don't need that. I want you to be you. And then we get to be our unique selves.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Well, what would you say, like, when do you feel most aligned with God and who he made you to be? Like, how would you define that for Janine?
When I am in a group with people that are all different and can not get exhausted and move around and listen, I feel so aligned with who I'm supposed to be and get asked questions so I can talk, but I don't have to lead, or I can, like, really the opportunity to choose is when I feel most aligned. I think. Yeah.
That's so interesting because I would have such a similar, a similar experience that although I do one-on-one coaching, my heart really comes alive in group work and just being able to sit around a table and it's not, it can feel sometimes like when it's me and one other person, like they're listening to the answers and responses that I have versus there's something that happens in a group that when all these voices are part of the same collective, like we all have unique perspectives, but there's so much good that can come from the collective group.
Yes. And I feel it just reminds me a long time ago, I did Strengths Finders, right? And my top 5, my top 1 is woo, which is, the group part. But then my 5th is individualization, or my 4th is individualization. And I'm like, well, that's both of them because I can sit like this and I love to sit one-on-one in spiritual direction with people or with young people, just being an auntie, right? I love that because I want to hear what's in your heart. And you can't do that in a big group, right? You gotta.
Right.
So it's this both and again, imagine that.
Yeah. So true. I mean, like we all love this one-on-one stuff. It is such a good spot to be, but there's the unique gifts and opportunities in both experiences. So
I will say one thing I just heard this weekend as I was at a retreat from someone else talking, and then they brought it back to me. It was that there's this beautiful, for me, There's this beautiful place of being to walk into a group and notice who might need a little bit more attention, or whose voice. Did you hear that? Did you hear what they just said? And do that connecting piece, I feel, is a part of my one-on-one, one-to-one healthy four, right? And it's my temperament, and it's my attachment style, and it's my strengths finders. It's all the things,
Yeah.
but it's like this, I just love it when I get to hold space together to help people connect one-on-one.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Well, I'm so excited for a handful of my friends that are one-to-one fours to get to listen to this episode, because I know that they're going to hear so much in what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, just wrapping up this episode, I would love to ask, like, what is something that you're practicing that you feel like is actually transforming you currently right now in life?
Jess already brought it up. Tyler Zach's devotional for the four. I went through it. And there's at the end of every day, there's a response. And I was like, I couldn't do it. It was all too much. So now I'm going through and just doing the responses each day. And it is helping me. He has a grip. That devotional has a grip and words to say that fill me and help me love me and see who I am, that I'm okay. And a practical thing to live it out. And it's deep. Some of it's really, really hard. And I feel like that I'm not trying to sell this for Tyler. It's just real. I just have told so many people, like, it is so helpful. Like, I feel like he's writing it just for me. And that,
that's awesome.
I will do it more. I will repeat this devotional because it's so for me. And it's so about the divine love for me. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. We are all about just practices for transformation, because all, knowing the patterns and knowing the information and the styles and all that stuff is just the beginning. That is just the first part, is understanding and awareness. But then when we can have embodied practices, and rhythms and routines to grow in a relationship with God, with ourselves and others, like, that's what it's all about. So happy that you came on today and just shared all of your fourness and all the things that you've learned, and we'll just continue to help and impact so many people. For the
Such
kingdom.
an honor to be here. Thank you so much. I really do hope people can breathe in that they are okay how they are, and that the both and for them is worth it to seek out. It's worth it.
Great. Well, we love to close every show with something that is, it's an echo. It's been inspired by the welcome prayer. It says, may you be aware and open to everything that comes to you today, welcoming it all for your transformation.
Amen.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Transforming Us podcast. We hope that you enjoyed the conversation and that you found it helpful. If you loved what you heard, we would really appreciate if you would take a moment and leave us a 5-star review and rating. Your support helps us reach more listeners like you.
And also, don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more relationship content. Then, if you're looking to take your growth to the next level, check out our coaching services and groups at transformingus.org.
We're here to help you transform your patterns and enjoy more secure relationships.
Until next time, in the words of Raoul Shane, you do not need to do big things. Just do small things in a big way. Then transformation will follow you.